recommend to the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development the waiver of interest upon completion of the installment agreed upon. On 23rd July 2024, URA recommended the case to the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development for a waiver of pay-as-you-earn interest liability for the taxpayer amounting to UJX 2.941 billion. The Minister advised that the accrued interest should be waived pursuant to Section 47A of the Tax Procedures Code Act 2024, since the taxpayer had settled the principal tax of Uganda shillings 2.062 billion. However, Section 47A of the TPC Act cannot be applied to waive the interest for the following reasons. 1. The taxpayer had fully paid the principal tax by November 2018, whereas Section 47A applies where principal tax remains outstanding within the prescribed period. 2. Payments towards the principal pay-as-you-earn liability were allocated towards interest in accordance with the payment allocation rule as stipulated in Section 38 of the TPC Act. 3. The taxpayer, thought that the case should be treated as a voluntary disclosure, but the law on voluntary disclosure came into force in 2019, thus interest could not be waived. Interest could not be waived under the voluntary disclosure law provision, tax compliance review. My recommendation, Mr. Chairman, in consideration of the commitment made between URA and the taxpayer when signing the MOU for installment payments, we recommend that the tax waiver should be granted to Innovations for Poverty Action for tax amounting to Uganda shillings 2,518,017,968. In view of Section 43(1) and 2 of the Tax Procedures Code Act 2014, I submit for your consideration, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Minister. I think, Honorable colleagues, you've heard a submission made by the Minister regarding the two requests for tax waiver. I think I would like to ask, before I ask the colleagues to come in with clarifications, observations, and anything that is necessary, I would like to ask the lady who just came in to introduce yourself, because we were alerted by the gentleman next to you that you were on the way. He didn't give us more details, so we want to know who you are.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My name is Peace Mahoro Musisi, and I am the Chief Finance Manager at Innovation for Poverty Action. I am representing my director, Dr. Miriam, who is away.
Miriam who?
Laker. L-A-K-E-R.
Laker.
Yeah, Laker. Laker.
Okay. Okay.
I beg everyone's pardon. Laker. Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah,
happy
honorable
to be
colleagues, Honorable Mara.
Chairman, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank the Minister for his submission. Mr. Chairman, I come from the business side, from the business world, as much as I'm a political leader. And therefore, I understand what the management of Fresh Cuts Uganda Limited has gone through. I just want to summarize their problems under 4 points. One is the tax carryover during the time of purchase. The second is URA aggressive tax collection strategy. The third is debt obligations to banks. And number 4, Mr. Chairman, is the impact of the COVID situation starting from 2020. Now, many businesses have gone through this, and I would want to submit that maybe Fresh Cuts Uganda Limited is one and only meat company in Uganda which has really made a stride to really reach out to the foreign markets. Mr. Chairman, we have had situations here where government of Uganda has been able to bail out companies and invest heavily. To cite a few others, Bio Pharmacy, Achak Sugar Works, Rocco, where we invested hundreds of billions of shillings. If you have seen the case which has been made by this company, I used to hear their names, maybe buy their meat. I don't know any of the executives, or have I visited their company, but they make a beautiful story case of a Ugandan company trying to make it in a very difficult situation. What they are asking for here is not a capital investment by government, but a tax waiver. And you've given us all the details which we have really looked through. And given your strategic outlook of what you want to achieve in terms of the export volumes, in terms of the foreign currency inflows that your company will bring to Uganda, the market expansion, in terms of the Ugandans that you will employ, and expanding these markets within Uganda, DRC, and the surrounding countries, I would want to submit, Mr. Chairman, that their case make one of the good examples that this committee should be able to support. I should also add that if you look at the details, which I don't want to go into, we have read through, is that they would even collect a VAT, and it would be very difficult even for them to remit when banks are on you. They want money. URA also wants you to pay them. They have locked you up. They want their money. So even if you have collected VAT on behalf of URA, what you are facing now is a liquidity crisis. So I would want to submit and say this, Mr. Chairman, that I would like to request my colleagues, ask them kindly that if there is a company that we should support that will add more value to Uganda in terms of what they are trying to do, is Fresh Cuts Uganda Limited. So the only question I would want to ask is that I still see 1.5 billion shillings of unpaid money for staff. If this waiver is allowed, will you go back and make sure that this 1.5 is paid? Because we should not sacrifice staff. URA, we can deal with it, but I think let us pay staff. The other point which I want to make is that, through the Honorable Minister of Finance, URA is our friends, and we give them huge targets for them to achieve. But then the question again is, if you are dealing with a company like this one, what strategy should we use? Because our strategy should be around building up other than destroying. Because now if you lock them up, you take away their computers, what are you doing? they can abandon shop and go. So I think between the Minister of Finance and the Director General of URA, we should find mechanisms of treating our, how do we call it, private sector people well. We must find a way of rebuilding them other than destroying, because the story here doesn't look very nice. And so I want to urge the URA, those who are represented here, that please, let's not kill these companies. Let's find a way of making them survive. So, Mr. Chairman, without any equivocation, I would want to support this waiver, and so that the company can rebuild. I thank you, sir.
Yeah, having said that, I notice that this document, which was presented by Fresh Cuts, was given to the committee because we asked you to give us more details. But we need you procedurally to lay them on table through your minister, through our minister, so that we receive them officially to use this as information that you furnish to us. Yes? Yes, Honorable Semuju.
I just want to ask the minister, just to understand, on page 5 of the minister's presentation, bank and shareholders loans. On this page, the minister is explaining the company's liability, totaling to nearly 22 billion. And then below you have the loans, the shareholders, and either the loans to the company. So my question, Honorable Minister, if this waiver is granted, because I want to read the intention is that you want to help the company to survive. But at the same time, you are saying the company here is in very bad shape. It also has other obligations unsettled. So where is the guarantee that the waiver will resuscitate the company if they have these huge other outstanding obligations, if I have understood this presentation, especially on page 5. And then, of course, you know, in the past, the issues around the waivers, where the criteria for benefits, how many applied. I remember one time we asked you to provide us a list of everybody who had applied, for us to establish why some had qualified and others didn't qualify. But let me begin with this particular one. Assuming the waiver is granted, will that resuscitate the company because it has other obligations? And then this other company, their directors, I think all of them, are they foreign? The names don't sound, they are all foreign. There is a commitment, difficult, because already you have a commitment with the URA, which they couldn't process because of the law. I think according to the minister's explanation. My understanding is that that's the reason the minister is here. That between them and URA and the minister, they found it difficult to write off the interest because of the law. So does Parliament change the law? Because if the issue is the law. So are you asking us to go and tell Parliament to disregard the law?
Yes, Honorable Choma.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for the presentation. Honorable Chair, I really feel for fresh cuts, especially given that it is Ugandan. When you read the names, it is suggestive of that. Honorable Chair, from the presentation, just when you go to page 2, where we have position 1. With your permission, I can read verbatim. Income tax and withholding tax of 607,931,933. This was based on the earlier guidance to consider waiver of tax excluding VAT and pay as you earn per His Excellency the President's directive. Well, we don't have the copy of the directive, but at least the information as presented by the Minister is indicative of what the directive was about. And basing on that, while I'm feeling for fresh cuts, first of all, we appreciate, because when you look at what you paid is 8.1 billion in taxes. Thank you. But my issue comes in when it comes to VAT, pay as you earn, and withholding tax. In all those categories of taxes I have mentioned, I don't consider you as a taxpayer. You are simply remitting the taxes paid by different suppliers you are dealing with, the employees, your employees. You are simply, because in a circumstance that we waive your tax in form of pay as you earn, that means actually you've cheated this employee of yours who signed on the payroll or the pay slip or whatever, that actually has paid what? Tax on that you did not remit it. So in such a case, I really feel constrained that we waive a tax where you are supposed only to be an agent. Okay? That is VAT, pay as you earn, and withholding tax. On that one, Chair, and I think really as this committee, we should not be seen condoning such a practice. It is very, very bad, because it depicts some kind of financial indiscipline on the side of management. When you withhold, remit. If it is pay as you earn, remit. If it is VAT, compare the input, output, and either claim or remit the balance. Okay? Having said that, Chair, aware that fresh cuts is Uganda, as I've said, that means it leaves me as a person with an option of looking at the income tax, okay, because it is also among the taxes, because I'm aware a company may be profitable when actually it has liquidity problems. It can even declare a serious profit when actually liquid-wise it is not healthy. So it would leave me there. And Chair, again, the penalties, the interest, and perhaps the interest emanating from the pay as you earn, the withholding tax, and the VAT. Only the interest or the penalty emanating from that, but not the principal amount of pay as you earn, VAT, and withholding tax. Chair, having said that, I want the directors of Fresh Cut really to be honest. One of them has already put it. Supposing really we are convinced and we recommend the waiver of the income tax and these other interests. Okay? Now, when you look at your net worth, it is worrying. Because really, page 5, okay? You are in the negative, considering all your assets, but all those who demand, whose obligations, financial obligations you have, you can't still stand. Really, we are proud of you. I saw fresh cuts when I was still young, but now, this is the biggest. Honourable Minister, I think like these directors come quickly really to come for a rescue. I think sometimes it is important to make an audit, of the operations. Because when I read this, yet Freshcut has made a name to me, okay, analytically, it is indicative that there were some drawings possible drawings by directors, yes, and shareholders getting money and doing other things, okay, instead of keeping the money and plowing back the money for further investments, because there is no way you can be operating, then you reach a negative net worth, 22 billion. We need to hear about you, assuming we waived off the ones I have talked about as a person. What about this? You know, it is also a principle in business management that once you've done all ways and means and you try really to keep your business running, but you see all signals are suggesting that your business is dying, you just accelerated what? The collapse. It is also an acceptable business. Yes, one of us is that is financial management actually. You just accelerated the what? The collapse because the continued investing of funds into such a venture, okay, will be giving you negative results. You rather kill it and start afresh. But I'm not saying that because first of all, as I've said, it is a name, but no. No, because really, Fresh Cuts has been there and we are proud of it, but we need really to be convinced. I thank you, Chair. I know other colleagues have a lot to say. About this other one, I think there is information we need to have. What is the composition of the, and are we dealing with the Fresh Cuts first? Are we dealing with all of them together?
We are dealing with all of them at once.
But we have limited information about the other one. Which one is VAT? Which one is pay as you earn? Which one is?
There, you ask a question for clarification.
So, okay. But for me, in principle, that would look at across actually, without segregation. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Wanda.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to thank Honorable Choma. I want and build from there. Honorable Chair, when you look at Fresh Cuts being Ugandan, indeed we are proud of it. But while we have our own, we are also concerned about how well they are doing. Honorable Mala indicated that URI has been very aggressive. On the contrary, I want to say no. They have not, because if they were, this situation could not last these many years. I have looked at the composition of tax. Indeed, as Honorable Choma put it, payee, VAT, withholding tax should not be the subject of this discussion, because they are actually taxes withheld from the taxpayers on behalf of government by Fresh Cuts. Now, when we go to the contribution, I see this first table. It looks a very big contribution, yes, but when you look at it critically, the contribution in 15 years was actually 1.320 billion. These other taxes are taxes that were just withheld. But now, the question I have for URI what did you do? Can you confirm that tax withheld, shown here as withholding tax as a liability, sorry, not withheld, but shown as a liability, was not claimed by these other companies? I know you have your systems that can tell you. If this tax was not claimed, then there could be a good ground. But if this tax was withheld and the other taxpayers claimed it, we would be doing a disservice to this country to grant a waiver for tax that was actually withheld. When you look at the amount of tax payee, for example, 3.2 billion over the 15 years, and you also consider management practices, roughly salaries take how much in a percentage? It also points to what Honorable Choma inquired, whether there were withdrawals that denied this company the opportunity to thrive, or what happened exactly. My view, I think we'll be helped by URI. The information here, yes, has been provided, but it is scanty. If you looked, I don't know whether, Banagare, you carried out an audit on the financials, because they could tell you a story of what had actually happened. If you find that these monies shown here were actually due, and the company suffered withdrawals or drawings, then the story could have been different. Maybe you would have advised the minister differently. Now, in my view, the subject of discussion should be the income tax. For the other company that paid the tax but had the interest to pay, that one, personally, I would relent the fight. We are here looking at the entire country. Many companies have gone through this harsh time. I don't know whether we can assess the impact of our decision at this point. If we say we have given a waiver, will it open a Pandora's box for the minister to receive many other such applications? Or what will happen? And are there other companies, as my colleague put it, that have probably applied and not been considered? So, Mr. Chairman, I am of the view that when we are looking at this, we shouldn't look at it in a blanket form, but tax head per tax head. And of course, the question posed whether this would elevate the company from its troubles still lingers around. But that is my view.
Thank you. Honorable Basil.
Thank you, Chair. I'll build on the submissions of my colleagues, and I will take a very short time, because number one, table on page 2, it would have been very useful to us to know the big table, the one of the monies, the middle one, where different taxes are indicated. So one, income tax payee, value added, withholding tax. So these are the taxes paid. It would have been good to if we indicate what was due, what was paid, what was the balance, because it would guide us to show what was the actual tax generated. For example, if we talk about value-added tax, how much was withheld, how much was paid, and therefore how much remained outstanding and why. Would ask why. And when you go to page 4, on that table, again I want to move with my colleagues here. VAT should not be an issue of discussion because it is a tax that was withheld from somebody. So would be asking why do you pay it when you withheld it? So is withholding tax. So is pay as you earn, which you deducted and did not pay. So the issue of discussion should still be income tax. So I want to agree with the Honorable Wanda that we discuss tax head by tax head. Then on page 5, when you look at the current liabilities table, 2020, 5 billion. 2021, 6 billion. 2022, 30 billion. And we know how current liabilities arise. So this was a form of increase in trading, I'm very sure, but trading on credit. So when you consider this amount of figure, the jump from 5 times the current liabilities, it means if you did a tax audit, you would find that in that year, of course, the details we have here are not enough, but it would show us how much was traded during that year. So with this sort of pay was 5 times more than the other previous financial years. In my opinion, it would indicate that there is a lot of trade these fresh cuts did this financial year. So how is it reflected? The other tables that we have today do not show it. So I conclude by saying we discuss or we consider waivers tax head by tax head.
Thank you. Honorable Mpindi Umali. Then we'll move on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I am also concerned about this issue of VAT, payee, and the withholding tax. In the submission of the minister, he did not tell us what caused this, because these monies are collected on behalf of government. And if it is not limited to this tune, what went wrong? And Mr. Chairman, do you think if we begin waiving off monies that are being collected in the pay as you earn, in VAT, in withholding taxes, do you think if we open up that channel, aren't we going to get so many people coming to ask for waive of such kind of money? Many people keep on talking about the impact of COVID, even where it is not necessary. Because when I look at this business, it is a business. You remember the directive that the president had given to some of the businesses not to operate. And those who chose to operate, they knew that they are getting profits, they are working properly, normally. And they did it at their own risk. So if someone decided to operate And when I look at this business, it is not like a plane, because in the plane they used to tell us, now in a seat which used to occupy 3 people should occupy only 2. Then you can say someone has made a loss. But if you are, for example, processing 100 kilograms of meat, how can you say COVID? Because you continued operating until the end of the period. For the income, that one is understandable. We can look at that. But then the money that you collected from your staff, the money that you collected as withholding, how can you say that it is not there? Mr. Chairman, I think we need to trend well on this if we are to first of all, to help the country, but also not to open up Pandora boxes for everyone to come.
Okay.
The other one of the poverty action, to me that one is understandable because it is more of a charity organization. It is not a profit-making company. It is just a charity. That one, if they say we have these challenges, I think that one is understandable, in my view.
Thank you, Honorable. So, let's start with Honorable Mudimi, then we proceed onwards until we're done.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there is a document. I don't know, Chair, need your guidance, whether we can also refer to all this separate, as is formally submitted or his documents.
Now, honorable members, as a committee, we wrote to the company requesting for waiver for more details, and I think as a result, he brought his own write-up, which is not appended or synchronized with the minister's talking notes. Nonetheless, this is good information. That's why I asked him to submit it for our own review. So you can refer to the notes.
But Mr. Chairman, he has to formally lay.
Mr. Chairman, as you have guided, allow me through the Honorable Minister to lay on table the write-up, the background of fresh cuts, and the origin of the tax program and the financial distress, and the clarification of the many issues that the honorable members are asking.
All right, yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, first of all, when I refer to the document which I have just submitted, origin of financial distress, they have talked about the inherited tax issues. Yes. That they inherited the tax issues from original owners. So I want the Honourable Minister, I stand to be corrected. At one point, sometime, Honourable Minister, sometime back, as if this company brought some issue on tax waiver. This is not some years back. This is not the first time, but I stand to be corrected. I stand to be corrected. I've been around for some time. Some time back.
We brought a budget.
Which one? For fresh cuts. Budget too.
We are going to give information.
Yes. But I stand to be corrected. Yes.
We give them an allocation.
Now.
So that's where you saw the name.
Yeah, basing on that, really, we've seen the challenges. They have gone. Now, if you have given them the money now, you are worsening. You are worsening the whole. Because we need, where's the money? So, basing on that, I've seen here they have bank loan and also unpaid tax areas. I think of 1.5, if you look at the payee, if they have not paid the workers, I think I'm not from that company, but if you explain, it could be the source of unpaid pay as you earn. Now, second, like what members have really said, when you look at your balance sheet, and here in your write-up, the team from Fresh Cuts, you said once you are given this waiver, you are going to do miracles. You are saying project to expand, export approximately 500 metric tons in 5 to 8 years to fetch 30 million US dollars annually. That's really good, but when you look at your balance sheet, I don't know, unless Honorable Musasi is that capital from government, you look at a lot to do that. Otherwise, to me, since these are Ugandans who are struggling, and they have failed actually to raise the money to pay the taxes, even if we keep them locked to whatever use, and it will be cheap. If we allow URA every time they drive to Sekuku, they come without even collecting, it's costly. It had on
procedure, Chair. Mr. Chairman, procedure.
I thought we were proceeding well. What happened?
Mr. Chairman, in hindsight and in consultation with my colleagues this side, we thought that since the Minister has presented the request to us, and also there is an addendum from the executive of Fresh Cuts, would it not be procedurally right for us to discuss have an indoor discussion? Otherwise, somebody can have a heart attack. You know, somebody has come with a lot of hope, and people are saying, "No, you're thinking." So, some of these things, Mr. Chairman, I'm just thinking aloud that would it not be procedurally right for us to receive these documents, have an internal discussion, and when we need the Minister to clarify on some of these things, then we can do it an in-house thing. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Member, I don't think there is anything to cause a heart attack. Some of these things could be issues that are preparing him to respond. And I think after the questions have been made, we'll ask him to speak to his notes in summary so that we're able to understand the situation. Yes, but Honorable Mara is just feeling for you, but it's okay. Feel at home, there's nothing to worry. Yes, Honorable Kefa. No.
Thank you.
I think he had it finished.
I'm concluding.
He's concluding here, just a minute, and then we'll go to you.
Mr. Chairman and the members, I'm looking at the cost of recovering this. Like I said, the teams from URA normally visit clients, and they have to use facilities to do that. So we can't keep on keeping this in the books. To me, we could look at the way to help them, because the cost of recovering this could be much higher than it keeps on continuing. You go there, you go and serve the notes. Those are the issues. You could look at the best way to help such. But really, you have to see how to regain your balance sheet, to be honest.
Thank you so much. Except that now, Honorable Mara had submitted that you had consulted. I thought colleagues.
No, as not part.
Yes, Honorable Kefa.
I think, as not part of that consultation,
And Honorable Mala has nothing to worry about because they've made a very persuasive case to begin with. Very persuasive. But we have, like in creative accounting, you just have to look at the figures further. I think the first persuasive, the initial points that they've made, very persuasive, are in the document presented by the proprietors of the company, that they inherited the issues. They are not their own making. Secondly, that these problems have been caused by URA's aggressive tax assessment, which URA is not denying. I don't know whether they're accepting it now. Whether they're accepting it now because they want to help them out. Thirdly, that these problems, their financial distress at the moment, has been caused by the impact of URA's action, freezing their computers, freezing their accounts, and then the demands that they were making on them. And then also that URA's assessment were erroneous. I think that is very interesting that they are making. I don't know whether they didn't expect you to be here. That he made the erroneous assessment. It's in this document. Are you denying it, Honorable Minister? Okay. Now that's the first couple of points. The second point is that it's in a priority area, agro-processing, the meat value chain. They are persuading us that as their historical contribution, they've created many jobs in the past. 110, I think, and then also on the factory side, and then I think on the supply chain. They've supported the livestock farmers. I see here created a market of 120 billion, 120 billion shillings market. Then 30,000 heads of cattle and many other additions. Then also something in the value addition, I see something with the fertilizers, hides, and processing the meat itself in candy tins. And then that have potentially brought in export revenue, and that with the financial distress of the company, the export revenue has declined. Now those are, okay, and then also that they have paid historically over 13 billion in taxes. That's a very persuasive presentation. I'm hoping it's not work of a public relation officer or something. Now, here is my concern. Once this, you are making a very persuasive case, but once this is accepted, then it opens a can of worms of other agro-processing companies that are struggling with taxes. Now, the first thing I'm asking myself is, in what you are saying too good to be true? Can it be independently verified? What can you present to us which is independent verification of what you're talking about? Now, when you talk about URA's aggressive tax assessment, they are overhand, aggressive, and then also sometimes high-handed behavior and erroneous assessment. don't we have a mechanism for appeal in this country? Is there evidence that you appealed against that? I think that will, if you can present that, that will greatly sway our opinion. And then with these future statistics, very persuasive, that in the immediate run, if just this tax is waived, you will start paying tax of 3 to 5 billion a year. And after 10 years, you'll be, within a period of about 10 years, you'll be paying 30 to 35 billion a year. Where are you getting, what is informing this forecast that you're using? I very much accept your opinion, sympathize with you, feel for you. But I think those are some of the facts that you have to help us understand better. Honorable Chair, I come back to you with the poverty.
No, conclude there. Conclude with it.
No, there are some figures I'm trying to...
Okay. Honorable colleagues, it's about 9 minutes to 5. I would like to request that we summarize this. Honorable Kugonza.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chair. I would like to thank the Minister for a very comprehensive presentation about the waivers. And certainly the presentation is backed by law, because what is being done is within the laws that were passed by this Parliament. And this was anticipated that there will be companies at some point in time that will be distressed, like the two before us. Now, we are a bit advantaged because we are not in the sector. Because we keep talking about the business sector. Actually, this is the most disruptive and most disturbing. I tend to have one leg there and another leg this other side. And many times when I meet, actually, a person needs to understand the business environment in Uganda. Who are these people we call business people? Where are they coming from? And many of you actually even seated this side, you are business people in one way or the other. And you have actually even gotten into a number of things that we are actually even struggling with.
Yes.
Yes.
From my friend Dr. Emily. I've been friends with him, but I didn't know that he owns an abattoir somewhere.
He does?
You said you have one leg there.
Yes.
He has an abattoir.
You have an abattoir, a butcherman.
No, in the business part, in the business side.
You are in the business of slaughtering cows.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, many of the entrepreneurs, the best entrepreneurs, are not necessarily the best business managers. And actually, you find you are an owner of a business, you are a member of parliament, you hand it over to other people to manage. They will actually even at some point even give you a misrepresented position. You actually keep thinking that your business is performing well. But when the experts like the people you hear speaking, and this parliament, actually particularly this committee, is endowed with people that are grounded in financial matters. When you hear the question they ask, and they start asking, but Emil, you say have you looked at this? Have you done this? And that's when you find yourself, you are actually in trouble. Now, when I look at what particularly the quality card, I mean the fresh cards, the challenge, first of all, they have had issues around the issues of cash flow. Even when you talk about payee, you know, many of these companies, even when we meet now outside Parliament and in the business environment around Maruas and other things, the discussion is, you find somebody is actually paying salaries, but it's not paying payee, because the cash flow, the money that has come in, cannot allow to pay entirely even the statutory obligation, which must be the first call. Of course, that is also against the law. But because of the constraint, they find themselves in such a situation. And now, when you look at the whole, the books and the status of this particular company, it's very badly distressed. Whether you choose to actually grant a waiver, you cannot actually recover the money if what has been given to us is the correct position. And many businesses have actually had this kind of experience as part of their growth journey. Their highs and lows, ups and downs. And to me, I believe that government, now that the Uganda Revenue Authority came to a point that they cannot collect this money, and there is nothing much that they can do. And for us, looking at the contribution of the company to the economy, particularly at when those good times were prevailing, and looking ahead that probably these will resurface when they engineer their management and other things, we need to, I would persuade my colleagues to actually support a waiver for them. And of course, yes, they're looking ahead. It's not going to be an easy ride, but we must give them a second chance to ensure that as a company, they can try their luck. Because if you say they just kindly close and close shop and they abandon whatever they are doing, I think it's not healthy. First of all, there is a whole ecosystem, big ecosystem that is benefiting out of their activity. I want to actually support even the people that came up with this option, that at some point, that a consideration for a waiver by a company can be granted. Now, that said, on fresh cuts, I want to speak about innovations for poverty. Innovation for poverty action. Actually, when you look at I also have another leg in the civil society sector. So many legs, and that actually
Which one? Now you're left with none.
Now you will definitely understand at some point that there are many legs. Yes. But just take it that another leg is in the civil society sector. Because these people are using donor funds. And donor funds are very specific. And I'm glad, I want to really appreciate your donors who accepted to meet part of the bargain to ensure that whatever was due, because ideally you are supposed to be collectors of tax, particularly to do with employees, which is pay as you earn. And because there were issue of expatriates, and you had not considered that, then they took responsibility and were able to provide that. Now, to kind of also look for monies from the donor perspective to even pay for penalties, it really becomes very, very difficult. So now that the tax that was due was fully paid, these are the penalty. I think it is in order that really we support the waiver such that they can continue also to transact and keep a good relationship with the donors that will continue to provide resources that will be helping other sectors of the economy. After all, it's money coming into the economy at some point. I beg to submit, Chair.
Finally, from that side, Honorable Patrick.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to thank the Minister for his very good submission. Mr. Chair, I want to add something on Honorable Wanda's submission. I read through the historical background of the company, and on ownership, the director says the company transitioned from Belgians to the new management at the end of 2014. And somewhere, I found contradiction, where in the original financial distress, the statement says the company's distress stems from tax administration mistakes inherited from the original owners between 2005 and 2013, which were only discovered in 2013. Many months before takeover. So I want to know from the company, when you're acquiring stakes from a company, I think due diligence.
Did you say
supersedes
many months before or after?
That is the fact. If it took over in 2014, late 2014, but mistakes were discovered in 2013, of course those are many months before takeover. It is here. Yes. So my concern is when you're acquiring stakes from a company, due diligence supersedes every other process. What due diligence did you carry in 2014 before taking over the company? Then number two, When you discovered the mistakes in 2013, did you report to any authority? Thank you.
Very briefly, Chair, I don't know whether you can kindly allow covert action, if I can abbreviate it like that, at least to tell us why, apart from what the Minister has told us, why they think Parliament should do a waiver for them. Because unlike Fresh Cut, which we've seen is paying taxes, generating, doing production, helping in creating jobs in that area and helping with the value chain. Here, you're not generating jobs. You are not in the area of, okay, probably you'll help us to understand it better. You are not directly involved in production. I think what we get from you are the research reports, which I appreciate government and probably Parliament also sometimes may use. And I don't think you, like other entities that, okay, like Fresh Cut, that you contribute, directly contribute to the economy of the country. I think if you can help me understand how you feel this is just, it's justifiable that an NGO actually, which is even externally funded, should have its tax waived. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, we have done enough engagement. However, I feel it would be unfair to let these entities that are before us requesting for waiver to go without saying anything. So as we wrap up, I want to request that we give them about 5 minutes to summarize and tell us. But also, URA, issues that are coming out, you seem to be having a high appetite of garnishing accounts, you know. And finally, when you find out things are not as you suspected, then you come to appeal for them to have a waiver. So I think you need to have that as a takeaway to go and look at the procedures as you do that. So let me start with our poverty alleviators. Poverty? Poverty is in discussion. But he was waiting for you. You couldn't. So we want to hear your prayers and what you think you have to say before this committee to consider your waiver as your last shots.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable members, we thank you. Innovation for Poverty Action is an NGO that does research, as you have been presented to. We employ between 300 to 400 staff over the year. So in terms of gathering payee, we are categorized as large taxpayers. So with this waiver, of course, like you have, he's the one who said it. Like he said, when you're going to do business or when you're going to bring on...
You mean who? The one who has one leg there?
Well, I might get in trouble with the legs, so let me... So donors who are doing, who are requesting us to do work for them, also do a due diligence. When they find on our books that we owe tax, and they don't know the whole story, some refrain from working with us, which in a way impinges on our ability to continue doing the work we do. And in terms of our donor money, it's restricted. Yes, it is restricted. When you win a contract to do work for any donor, it is restricted to particular objectives. So you cannot use it for a liability that was there before. But also, honorable members, to say that this liability is one that you will not call a liability. We did not withhold payee from the expatriates. The expatriates that were working with us, we did not withhold. What we didn't know is that we were supposed to withhold. And when we found that out through our tax advisors, then we did the voluntary disclosure. And we indeed went back and did some fundraising and paid the tax that was due. So now the hardship is that we cannot pay the interest because, and the penalty. Yeah. Thank you. Honorable Chair, thank you. And
yes,
thank you for
it's understandable. That's why I was saying, why was URA quick to, but you did a voluntary declaration. Yeah. Yes, yes.
I think we provide the laws and URA simply administers. URA was very right in putting interest, imputing interest, because the law requires that you withhold. When you do not know the law, I think there is not their problem.
No, but the issue of voluntary disclosure.
And the Honorable Chair,
The issue of voluntary disclosure
Omara,
does not
I am
attract
holding the
interest and penalties.
Honorable Chair, I'm holding the floor.
Don't interrupt your
I
colleague.
have over 21 years of tax consultancy, Honorable Mara. I worked with Gary.
Members,
I want to explain something.
Honorable colleagues, let's focus.
If the Auditor General went to URA and found them not computing interest, that would be a very big query on them. The law provides that if you are obliged to withhold and you do not withhold, then the tax rests on you and only gives you an allowance to pay and try to recover from the person who should have paid the tax. So URA is not high-handed as we are trying to demonstrate. I am conflicted because that is where I came from.
It's okay, Honorable. We understand where you're coming from. I just wanted to understand from URA. The TPC, they could not benefit because they came earlier before the law with us. Okay, that is yes, fresh cuts.
Thank you once again, Chairman and honorable members. Allow me to summarize the background of fresh cuts.
No, just
yes. As you have seen from the write-up. I beg your pardon?
Just summarize.
Okay, I joined the Fresh Cuts as a management advisor in 2016, and from there I bought shares in the company. Initially, the company was run by Belgians up to 2014, and we came in with my colleagues at that end of time. But we had initially bought in some minority shares and in preparation for the takeover of the company. So when we were going to buy shares in this company, we actually did a due diligence. And we established the health of the company, and there was no tax liabilities. But when I was interacting with my team from URA, they indicated that a due diligence would not show you the actual tax liability of the company unless they commissioned a comprehensive audit. So we were not able to establish that the company had an avalanche of liabilities up to the period when we took over. And when we took over with the minority shares, URA came in and conducted an audit. That's in 2013. And this audit produced a magnitude of around 12 billion in tax areas for the company when it started, up to the time when we were just coming in as shareholders. And these taxes were customs and domestic taxes, but they were nowhere to be identified in the details of URA for us who were coming in as new shareholders. And it actually put us in a bad relationship with the then shareholders, whom we had to make sure that they exit the company in 2014 so that we can work with URA to clean the company. It was very surprising to us that even customs taxes, which you pay immediately the container arrives, was not being declared or being paid. But as you have seen from our balance sheet, the large chunk of the shareholder debt came in to actually offset those taxes that we had inherited from the previous shareholders, because they didn't have money to pay the taxes and were interested in running the company. Shortly after dealing with the first audit, URA introduced a second audit within a period of 1 year. Second audit. And this audit introduced a tax assessment of around 5.5 billion. And we sat down with URA and made some reconciliations and paid the taxes that we actually saw as genuine taxes, and formally lodged an objection in the tax appeal tribunal to understand these other taxes that were not clear to us. And this automatically goes to the question the Honorable at the end raised. When you discovered the taxes, did you report? What action did you take? We did a due diligence, as I've confirmed to you, and we objected to these taxes in the tax appeal tribunal. As required by the law, we had to first pay 30% of the assessed taxes, and we parted with close to 1 billion to the tax appeal tribunal as a security deposit. But these audits came with a very serious impact on the operations of the company. First, our company accounts were completely frozen. Second, all the company equipment, computers, files, and everything were taken to URA for further audit. Until we reconciled with URA, that's when the files began to return. But up to date, we have never got everything they took back to URA. As a new shareholders, we didn't actually run the business up to around 2017 because we are embodied in reconciliation issues with Uganda Revenue Authority. And we went to the tax appeal tribunal for a period of 2 years, and there was nothing progressing. We were frozen, we were not operating, struggling, but the process of the tax appeal tribunal really is very, very slow. It takes a lot of time. So at that time, we appealed to the Minister of Finance to request URA to pull out of the tribunal through a consent, and we go to reconcile the tax matters in the office. We had a 4-month reconciliation with URA in our archives, and surprisingly, the 3.1 billion tax that had been assessed on us was not there. And URA said we had actually paid the taxes and the assessment was erroneous. That's why I mentioned that there was a very aggressive approach without even any due consideration. But I must say that the URA we have today is different from the URA of that time. It is more engaging, it is more listening, and by the time you get an assessment, not the URA of those days. First of all, these audits resulted into several garnishing of money on our bank accounts. It also involved several agency notices keeping the company accounts closed. So at some point in time, we would be forced to just make a payment to negotiate an opening of the bank accounts. So it was a very, very difficult situation that we were operating in, that we had inherited from the previous owners. Some honorable members said it may be possible that there could have been some withdrawals from the company accounts to render the company incapable of operating. It is true that the previous management had done several withdrawals even when we already had some shareholding. And we had even to raise these matters to court. We are still in court with the previous management who would scrupulously draw money from the company account and invest elsewhere. Yet we already had shares in the company. So all these eroded our financial capacity as a company, but because meat processing and agriculture sector is lucrative, we have been able to remain afloat. Till date that, as Honorable Mpindi said, you wouldn't imagine how a consumer product like meat would really fail to thrive in the market. It is possible that in all these difficult situations, we could remain a going concern up to date. And we even managed to continue paying some taxes through shareholder contribution, even when we are not raising any revenues. But most importantly is that why I mentioned that URA was very aggressive is that
now,
agency notices will be issued when we are not aware.
You know, I think I would like to request that in 2 minutes you tell us about the future, because you told many of us, and Honorable Kefa was like, are you painting a good picture? Or because we are worried if we gave this waiver, if we gave it,
Yes, Honorable Chair, I know we are time bad, but the information is giving actually is adding some value.
It's very important.
It is very important when it comes to our in-house discussions. Because, for example, you say I am the one who said there is possible drawings, and now you're saying the other. So the information, Chair. Yes, we are time bad, but we could give him some time to give us that background information. Thank you.
I thought most of the information is available.
But remember,
my namesake. Yes. Can you follow my guidance?
Yes,
just tell us about the health of the company and future, and you conclude.
Honorable members, what I would like to appeal to you is that this waiver is very important for the survival of the company, and the future of the company is very bright with this waiver. Most importantly, I would like to assure honorable members that the substantial liability on the balance sheet is around 21 billion from shareholders. But we are already in higher discussions with shareholders to write off this. So it is not a threat to the company's continuity. What remains as a liability is the 1 billion which the Honorable Minister has mentioned, which we have been restructuring with the bank to continue handling. And also the salary areas of our staff, which we shall continue handling in our regular business operations. And good enough is that we had 110 staff. We downsized, but we kept our staff. They are not terminated. We hope that we can revamp our food production and bring them back at the company in a very short period of time, not more than 2 months. The future looks bright because we conducted the market scan and our potential at the company, and we found that previously we were utilizing less than 50% of our storage capacity. We were utilizing less than 50% of our installed capacity. And with high technology, you may be small in net worth, but the output of the machine is higher in terms of sales volumes. So we are not a very high capital intensive company, but with the kind of technology we have, we can reach out to these markets. First of all, we have market orders, both domestic and international, which we have not been able to service because of liquidity issues. And as I demonstrated before, we have demand for beef of more than 10 billion in the Middle East market, and the domestic market is around 25 billion around for us as fresh cuts, Uganda shillings, just annually. And yet the Ugandan market for meat is around $586 million US. Even with this higher target, we are not even covering 50% of the demand for meat in the domestic market. Secondly, the that trade meat, but I can confidently say that it's only fresh cuts which have been doing exports of beef up to 2024. The new company called Paro Abattoir just started exporting like 2 years ago, and it has maybe made about 2 or 3 consignments. Yes.
Don't you focus on what you are looking for?
Honorable Minister.
Yeah. Just that thing. Sorry, it's faulty.
Let me. Honorable members and Honorable Chair, we are projecting to begin our first year of production with around 500 metric tons of beef, and this will help us to generate around 2.8 million US. This is within the first year of our recovery. Because the demand is there, we have had the contracts that are unserved, and they are not served even up to now. And I'm rating to our previous low year of production. We can recoup it within 1 year. And secondly, we have invested in a feedlot system. Honorable Minister, I want to clarify this, then I end with my prayers. So let me summarize this for the sake of time. We are also hoping to invest in technology for canned beef, because there is new demand for canned beef, and also organic fertilizers, because we are producing a lot of manure through slaughter system. So with the backward linkages that we have even in the tourism industry and agriculture sector, it is our humble appeal to the honorable members that Fresh Cuts has a bright future if you help us and waive us this tax issue. It has been a major thorny issue for us to rebuild our business successfully. I appeal to you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, Honorable Minister, you can conclude with it. Switch on. It's on.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Semuj raised the question on whether there are other efforts we are making to make the company recover. Mr. Chair, on top of the tax waiver, we provided 12 billion through UDC to help reorganize the company, to give it capital to enable it come back. No, UDC audited and found problems, among which was this tax liability, which was outstanding. And to give a condition that for them to invest in this liability must be made good first. So, when you give us permission to waive, we shall proceed and ask UDC to manage the next steps of, yes, because the funds are there. The funds are with them waiting for this process to end. Mr. Chairman, you have looked at the past of the company, you have looked at the present and the future. But to get into the future, we need to settle the current problems. The current problems must be treated. And I want to play to the committee that you allow us, give us permission, we waive the tax, then we help the company get into the future, and it regains the goodwill, the brand. As you know, this has been a brand for years, as Choma said. We don't want to lose the brand and also the economic impact, especially on the jobs. This company was employing many people. There are so many people waiting for this company to recover and they get back to their jobs. And the value addition on the meat. So, Mr. Chair, without wasting much time, I want to plead with you that you consider our submission as the last submission on this item so that we are able to move, Chair. I thank you.
Thank you.
These ones are straightforward. Theirs is a straight through. Honorable Dr. Emir has a leg there. He put his leg there. So
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We want to thank you. Our entities, our taxpayers, for enduring.
No, the one where Dr. Emir has a leg, I talked about it. The NGOs.
Yeah.
The NGOs, that is the one.
So I would like to thank you, Honorable Minister.
Was one.
I would like to thank you and the team that you came with. Especially, we had a busy day. And I would like to thank my colleagues and our technical team for enduring. I know this week is going to be a very busy week, but thank you for enduring. Some of you forfeited your lunch, but you, our taxpayers, thank you for waiting patiently. You have made your case. The committee is going to sit and consider, but if you think there is any other information that you need to forward, you can contact our clerk and let us know. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Meeting adjourned. Or you are meeting with you tomorrow.
So can I, how do I come tomorrow? So that I go and do that.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala.
We have to change the political culture in this country, really. Who has bewitched Ugandans?
I want to assure you, as government, we shall do whatever it takes to ensure that Ugandans are safe.
We have conversations that have analysis, explanation.
This law society, this union of theirs, because they want a job everywhere, they want to be this, they want to be that, they want... No. We know it's a union.
You cannot be making a road, bitumen grade 1, in Congo for 5 billion.
But not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth.
The argument that the General Court Martial is responsible for peace and stability is without basis, either in law or in fact.
We have been told how Napoleon was a great orator. Now, Napoleon cannot help me get food. They told me combine harvesters in Saskatchewan. I don't know where Saskatchewan is. This is a geography we're taught. Instead of teaching me how to preserve Mabera forest, they're teaching me about Rhineland. This is a problem we got. We cannot run away from it.
Right now, you hear very disgusting stories of members of parliament. Instead of discussing the details of loans, they ask for their cuts.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Did you know that our #1 value as a nation is to respect and protect the environment? With the current population increase of Uganda and industrialization, pressure on the natural resources resulting into environmental degradation and global warming. Developing countries like Uganda could face 80% of the global climate change effects by the year 2030 if no action is taken. Join us here on UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda, on our Eco Plus program, where we bring you an in-depth analysis of issues that are disastrous to our environment. Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m, only on your loved station, the National Broadcaster.
This week on UBC.
I'm a farmer's daughter who grew up swearing never to marry a farmer. Basically because in our village nearly everybody was a farmer and everybody was poor.
She is a champion of promoting agribusiness, agriculture and business.
I remember when I told my parents, the three of us were seated at the table, our tiny table. And my father said, so what are you going to put? I said, as I told you, I want to do agriculture. My mother had a shock. I said, what?